Developing news out of the Labor Department, the February report shows strong job growth for a third straight month, but not enough to bring down the unemployment rate. It remained at 8.3% despite the addition of 227,000 jobs. Mark Zandi is the chief economist for Moody's Analytics and probably the most often quoted economist on Capitol Hill. And Mr. Zandi, thank you so much for being on the program today. We saw about 8.3% growth, 200,000 jobs added. This is the fifth straight month of declining unemployment, the third straight month of job growth over 200,000. But the last time we saw this sort of early run, or this run of consecutive growth, was in early 2011, and then that led into summer stagnation. Is this actually going to continue on through the rest of the year, or could we see a drop-off?
Yeah, good point. I suspect it's not going to be a straight line for the job market. So if you told me in the spring, summer, we start getting job gains that are south of 200K, 150, 175K, I wouldn't be too surprised. In part, that's because the economy is now being hit by higher gasoline oil prices, and that's going to hurt and slow growth. But also the weather has been fantastic. I mean, warm winter weather, that's juiced up all the economic data, and there will be some payback. But, you know, abstracting from these ups and downs and all arounds in the data, I think it's fair to say the job market's moving in the right direction.
How much of these numbers are due to the fact that a lot of people have actually stopped looking for jobs? That's one of the main arguments you hear from Republicans on Capitol Hill is that, look, well, we have some solid improvement because there's not enough people looking for a job. They've just given up. Do you see that in these numbers?
Increasingly less so. We are seeing a lot of increased growth in the labor force. You saw that in February, a big increase in the labor force, and really over the past year or so. Increasingly, the decline in the unemployment rate is due to more jobs. It's not due to a weakening in the labor force, and that obviously is good news.
We saw some growth in this report amongst business services, healthcare. There were even some construction gains there. Construction went down. You saw manufacturing, leisure, and hospitality. Manufacturing, how does it look within this and in that sector of the economy, which has seen some growth over the last few months?
Yeah, in manufacturing, very good. A lot of it is auto-related. The vehicle sector is really come back quite strongly. Vehicle sales are back to pre-recession levels, and that's reflected in a lot of job growth in vehicle assembly. But, of course, the auto industry uses a lot of other manufactured product, everything from steel and fabricated metals to textiles, electronics, glass. I mean, everything that's produced across the manufacturing base goes into a car. So if we're producing more car, the entire manufacturing sector is lifted. And also manufacturing broadly is benefiting from strong export growth. U.S. manufacturers, if they survived what we went through, they have to be doing something right. They have to have a low-cost structure. They have to have a market niche. And now they're taking advantage of that. So we are seeing good, solid, consistent job growth in the nation's manufacturing base.
Mr. Zandi, here in Washington, the president will say, look, this shows that my policies are working. Republicans will say this is not enough. The president's policies are not working. How much do these job numbers have to do with policies that are coming out of Washington, D.C., or are they just cyclical? Are they just part of the economy as is?
Both. I mean, it's part cyclical. I mean, you can't keep our economy down for long. I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs and dynamism in our economy, and that ultimately will shine through. But I think it's also fair to say the policy played a key role here. In a normal time, I don't think economic policy makes a large difference one way or the other. But in times of crises, it makes all the difference in the world. And so I do think the policy response during the financial panic and the Great Recession is very important to explaining why the recession ended as quickly as it did and why the recovery is now starting to gain traction.
So the stimulus worked a little bit, you think, here?
I think it was a success. Yes, it ended the recession. It jump-started a recovery. It's not a source of long-term economic growth. It was never intended to be, but it did what it was supposed to do.
Mark Zandi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.